Hello and welcome to another GCSE Computer Science video with me, Mr Goff, for MrGoff.com. This video will focus on networks. A network is when you connect two or more computers together. Some of the advantages of networks are you can share files more easily, you can share hardware such as printers or a connection to the internet, it's easier to communicate between devices on the same network, you can log in from any networked machine, and user rights, security and backups can all be managed centrally. Some of the disadvantages of networks are they can be costly to set up, they may require specialist managers, malware that gets onto a network may spread to other computers, and if the server goes down, then all access may be lost. There are two types of network you need to be familiar with. Local area networks, also referred to as LANs, and wide area networks, also referred to as WANs. A LAN covers a small geographic area, for example, a home, an office, or a school. Hardware such as network switches and cables will generally be owned by the people running the network. An office or school may employ technicians to manage this kind of network. A WAN covers a large geographic area, for example, connecting stores across a country or people across the world. Hardware such as network switches and cables will generally be owned by third parties. Most of the wide area network infrastructure in the UK is owned and run by BT's Openreach. The primary example of a WAN is the internet, but firms can also use lease lines to create private secure connections between distant offices. There are a range of different factors that can affect the performance of a network. For example, bandwidth. This is the total amount of data that can be transferred around a network at any one time. This is affected by the type of network we have, whether it is a wireless network or wired, and if it's wired, whether you are using copper wires or fiber optic cables to transmit the data. We'll be looking more at the specific characteristics of each of these in a later video. Another factor that can affect network performance is the number of devices connected to the network. The more devices we connect, the more likely it is that data on the network is going to have collisions, needing it to be resent again. So as the number of devices increases, the network is likely to slow down. Another way that networks can be classified is by how they store and access files. There are two methods to be aware of: client-server networks and peer-to-peer networks. Let's take a look at each of these in more detail now. In a client-server network, powerful machines known as servers provide resources to the less powerful client machines that connect to these servers. Client-server networks often utilize a number of servers for different purposes. For instance, a web server to serve web pages from the internet, an email server to handle incoming and outgoing email messages, a file server to store and allow access to files, and a print server to handle print jobs across an entire network. In a client-server network, clients make requests of the servers they're connected to. For example, a student in a school wants to access a web page, so their request is sent to the web server. It's likely the school would have their own internal web server that would keep a cache of recently visited pages. If it's not found here, it would go via the internet to the web server where the page is hosted, which would return it to the client so that the student could view the web page. Another example might be a teacher that wants to check their emails. This request is handled by the email server. This may be an email server local to the school, where they can go and check it within the bounds of the school, or it may be an online service requiring them to use the internet to reach the email server and have their emails downloaded so that they can view them. Peer-to-peer networks have no central controlling computers. All computers are connected to each other. Software is used to locate files to download and can download parts of a file from multiple different users who all have it, doing this at the same time and hence reducing download times. Because there is no control in computer and files can be stored anywhere, peer-to-peer networks have often been used for illegal file sharing. Owners of these sites have then said that they are not legally responsible for the content that other people upload. However, the law has taken a dim view of this, and most of these sites have now been shut down. That brings us to the end of this video on networks. Join me again in the next video when I'll be looking at networking hardware. Use the resources at mrgoff.com to help you revise computer science. And until next time, it's bye for now.